The movie begins with Fernando standing at a bus stop lighting a cigarette, but suddenly a passing car splashed water all over him. He glanced at the soaked cigarette, now completely extinguished, and casually tossed it away. The cigarette drifted slowly along the rainwater on the road and into the roadside drain. Fernando watched with quiet curiosity as it floated until the current pulled it down the drain. He then lifted his gaze and noticed a well-known bank directly across the street. After thinking for a moment, he followed the water flow toward the drainage outlet nearby. He looked down at the pipe's exit, then shifted his eyes back again to the bank. At that moment, a bold and daring idea suddenly formed in Fernando's mind. He quickly called his friend to meet him right in front of the bank. Using the quiet cover of night, they lowered a tape measure down into the drain. Then they carefully moved to the drain outlet they had found earlier that night. Soon after, Fernando reached the tape measure and carefully checked its full length. He realized that this spot was only about 18 meters from the bank's main entrance. All he needed was to dig a tunnel straight from there, leading to the vault door. The two then returned home together to work out a more detailed plan. But to dig the tunnel, they needed the exact distance from the drain to the bank. They couldn't openly measure it with a ruler in public without raising suspicion. After thinking for a long time, they built a team. Fernando told De Aza to mark the 28th spoke on a bicycle wheel. They would pretend to be pedestrians, slowly walking the bike from the manhole to the bank. By carefully counting the wheel rotations, they could easily measure the distance. In this simple way, they figured out the span from the manhole cover to the bank. Now Fernando only needed to solve a basic elementary math problem. He calculated that the tunnel length was 18 meters, and from the manhole to the door was 6.5 meters. Fernando applied trigonometry and the Pythagorean theorem to determine the tunnel length and angles. Even with precise data ready, they still couldn't begin their plan just yet. Fernando also needed to locate the exact position of the vault inside the bank. He entered the bank pretending to be a normal customer making a transaction. Secretly, he used a digital camera to take photos of the back door layout. Then he casually and calmly walked further into the lobby area. He took out the camera again to capture the surveillance camera positions and layout. After confirming no one was paying attention, he boldly photographed the transaction counter. But as he finished and was about to leave, security guards noticed his strange behavior. They immediately escorted him to the security room for a thorough inspection. Although they checked very carefully, they still found nothing suspicious at all. In truth, Fernando had already removed the camera's memory card beforehand. It turned out that he intentionally allowed them to catch and question him. Only by doing so could he access the bank and understand the vault structure below. All of this was carefully planned preparation for their future bank heist plan. As he moved downward, he memorized every detail inside the underground vault. When he got home, he used the photos and what he recalled to sketch a vault diagram. However, the vault was enclosed by a reinforced concrete wall, blocking their original plan. Looking at the diagram Fernando had drawn, they chose to dig a tunnel to the nearby security room. With a plan ready, they immediately began working without delay. A group carried tools into the drain and removed the aluminum plate they had marked earlier. Because the area was very humid, the concrete there was more porous than usual. Meanwhile, Fernando's group stayed home discussing a tougher issue, opening the safe quickly. De Aza suggested bringing tools to pry it open directly. Prying one safe would only take about 2 minutes, but there were hundreds of safes inside the vault, so doing that would be both time-consuming and physically exhausting. Naturally, they all rejected that idea. Then Boss suggested using the bank's weekend break. That way, they would have more time to open the safes. But Fernando believed staying longer inside would only increase the danger, so the urgent task now was finding a faster way to open the safes. He proposed that everyone first study how the safe locks worked. Then he told Mario to pretend to be a wealthy man and rent a safe within 100 kilometers. After several attempts, they finally understood the lock's internal structure. To open it faster, Sebastian built a machine designed for that specific lock type. While they celebrated, the tunnel diggers had to stop their work. Without proper digging equipment, they couldn't follow the design accurately. Mario suggested buying a water-level tool, but Fernando immediately refused the idea. It turned out the money he secretly kept from his wife was already gone. With no solution in sight, they felt stuck. Suddenly, Sebastian came up with an idea. He set up a tripod and attached a laser pointer to it. Soon, a simple and free water-level device was created. Thanks to this, their digging efficiency improved significantly. After 3 days and 2 nights, the tunnel was less than 8 meters from the vault. At that moment, Mario realized a serious problem. They had a tool to open safes, but forgot about the vault's iron door. Hearing this, Fernando froze in shock. Exhausted, he lay on the balcony and cried beside his wife. While she comforted him, an idea suddenly came to his mind. He quickly ran to find Mario and shared his bold plan. They couldn't open the vault's iron door, but they could change the entire approach instead. They only needed to act while while bank staff were still working, because only then would the vault door remain open, so the issue of opening the vault door was solved. Now they just had to act like robbers storming into the main lobby. This would draw the attention of the security guards. Meanwhile, the others would use the tunnel to enter the vault. Hearing Fernando explain his plan, Mario immediately nodded in agreement. Then Mario and Diaza applied glue to their fingertips and wore black hats. They grabbed a water gun taken from some children and rushed straight into the bank. In less than a minute, the robbers had taken control of the entire bank, but they deliberately ignored one security guard inside the surveillance room. Seeing this, the guard quickly called the police. Even knowing he had made the call, the robbers did not get angry. Instead, they calmly asked him to hand over the phone. Then they removed the magazine from his gun and returned the weapon to him. At that moment, the police had already surrounded the bank entrance, yet the robbers inside remained completely calm and composed. They then locked the back door of the bank and reopened the front door. After that, they pushed the security guard outside. Their actions left the police confused and uncertain. But once the main door shut again, the boldest bank robbery had officially begun. First, the robbers secured all the staff on the 2 upper floors. Meanwhile, the others moved down toward the basement vault. They only needed to gently push the safes outward. Then a hole suddenly appeared in the solid wall. It turned out to be the tunnel leading to their dream of wealth. This was the tunnel Fernando and his team had worked hard to dig. Once everyone arrived, their dream of changing life overnight began. At that time, many people had gathered outside the bank. Along with the media, a special police unit was also present. The commander at the scene, Miguel, was a well-known negotiation expert. After hearing from the released guard that his phone was taken, Miguel made a call. He was preparing to apply psychological tactics in the negotiation. But before he could even speak, one robber interrupted him. A week earlier, the robbers had studied his work carefully. To handle the negotiations smoothly today, they had prepared in advance. They even spent all their savings on acting classes. Before the robbery, Mario had practiced repeatedly in front of a mirror. He trained this way to learn the tricks of negotiation experts. At the scene, this also helped them buy more time. It gave their partners enough time to empty the safes in the vault. Fernando and his team quickly set up their equipment and began working. Now every second mattered more than ever. With the lock opening machine, Fernando soon opened the first safe, but there was nothing inside at all. Still, this did not discourage Fernando in the slightest. He confidently moved on to the second safe. This time it was filled with a large amount of cash. Before he could react, he opened the third safe. Inside was a bag filled with white powder. Seeing this, Fernando quickly put everything back in place. But there were still hundreds of safes waiting to be opened, and even more unexpected things were yet to come. Meanwhile, the police remained outside without taking further action. They assumed this was just a group of unorganized robbers, so they chose negotiation as the main way to resolve the situation. Miguel kept urging them to surrender and admit everything they had done. He also warned that police had fully surrounded the bank, so not even a fly could escape. At the same time, he ordered a team of officers to quietly climb onto the bank's roof. But he underestimated the robbers completely. Soon, one robber heard movement coming from above on the roof. He told Miguel this had made them extremely angry. Then he warned that if the officers did not leave within a minute, they would be responsible. Hearing this, Miguel had no choice but to order the team to withdraw. Once the police left the roof, the robber began making new demands. He asked the commanding officer to come inside for direct negotiation. He claimed this was necessary for the safety of the hostages. Miguel could only agree to the request. But after nearly an hour, the officer still had not arrived. So the robbers called Molina themselves to ask why he was delayed. This was done to buy more time for their accomplices. Not long after, the commanding officer finally arrived at the scene. As soon as the call connected, the robber loudly scolded him. After venting everything, he made another demand. He said he wanted a lawyer within 30 minutes. He even gave Miguel a phone number for the lawyer, but Miguel did not expect the name provided was completely fake. Still, the police contacted a real lawyer afterward. At that moment, inside the bank, Mario removed his black hat. He sat in the manager's chair and spoke with the lawyer and police. Both the police and the officer believed what the lawyer said, so Mario successfully bought more time for his partners. Meanwhile, the safe unlocking process continued smoothly. At that moment, a hostage in the lobby suddenly raised his hand. Even during the robbery, he calmly raised his left hand to speak. He said he needed to take care of something urgently. Hearing this, the robber kindly told him to use the plant pot in the corner. But with another robber standing nearby, the man became nervous. The robber even told his partner not to keep staring at him. Unexpectedly, less than a minute later, the man raised his hand again. He asked to go to the bathroom for a second time. This time, the robber allowed him to go straight there. Seeing the gun swinging in front of him, the man was terrified. But what the robber did next left him completely shocked. The considerate robber suddenly opened the main door and let him leave. Miguel quickly rushed over to question him about the situation, but the man was so frightened he couldn't say a single word. His pants were already soaked from fear. Seeing the robbers release a hostage like that, Miguel was confused. In reality, all of this was meant to distract the police. At the same time, a sniper inside also noticed something unbelievable. Inside the bank, a robber was holding a birthday cake. He carefully carefully lit candles on top of it. It turned out that earlier, an elderly woman said it was her birthday. So the robbers decided to celebrate her 80th birthday. He even told the hostages there to sing happy birthday to her. Then the polite robber safely escorted the elderly woman outside. This unexpected scene left the experienced commander unsure how to react. He felt these robbers never acted according to normal logic, yet he still could not find anything truly suspicious. Thanks to Mario and the others buying time, Fernando had more time to open safes, but soon they faced a new problem. The lock opening machine had been running non-stop and overheated without cooling. It became temporarily unusable. They had no choice but to wait for it to recover. At that moment, all the robbers' alarm clocks suddenly rang. According to the plan, it was time to escape. However, many safes were still unopened. Leaving now would feel like a waste. But Fernando, who led the plan, showed no greed at all. He decisively ordered everyone to retreat as planned. After receiving the order, the robber upstairs drew his gun. He warned the hostages not to move at all. Meanwhile, those below began packing their things. They moved the money bags into the tunnel. Then the 3 robbers quickly crawled inside. They slid each bag of money down the tunnel slope into the drain. The accomplice below picked them up and loaded them onto the boat. The last 2 entering the tunnel stayed behind to clean the scene. After finishing, they pushed the cabinet back to hide the tunnel entrance. Then they quickly used that chance to retreat. Outside, the police were extremely tense and worried. They immediately entered full combat readiness. The commander even sent a special team to guard the drain exit. Inside, Fernando did not rush to leave. He calmly laid a red towel on the floor. Then he neatly arranged the guns used during the robbery. Before leaving, he placed a prepared note in the middle of the lobby. He did this not to provoke the police. He wanted to show the guns were only water guns. This way, if caught, their sentence might be reduced. Finally, the robbers seemed to vanish from the bank entirely. Just as they escaped, the police stormed inside. They only saw hostages lying quietly on the ground. There was no sign of any robbers at all. After a careful inspection, the experienced commander noticed marks below. He ordered his team to move the iron cabinet aside. That revealed the hidden tunnel in the wall. Miguel believed he would catch them soon. He had already sent a special team to guard the exit. But he did not expect Fernando had not used that route. Instead, they moved against the water flow. They traveled deeper inside the drain. Soon after, they reached another section beneath the system. Their accomplices had been waiting there for a long time. One quickly opened the car door and stepped inside. He opened the vehicle's undercarriage and lifted the manhole cover. This was how their escape route was created. After everyone got into the car, the last man loaded the money bags. With machine support, they quickly brought all the bags inside. Finally, they closed the manhole cover back into place. The robbery ended successfully without a trace. The end. Remember, this story is based on Argentina's robbery of the century, so do not try to imitate anything shown here. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more recaps like this.